So the mind is continuously working anyway. Okay, so we have to have a control over our mind. Very, very important. It isn't as much as control as much as it is about channelization, because we have all learned that mind is one of the most powerful forces in the world. So trying to fully control it is like daman, as they say. Like, control it is actually, the word gives wrong connotation. It is more about channelizing to the right source. Now that we have determined that, then what is the right thing to do? How do we go about living this life? Because action has to happen, which means that the consequences of actions will be created. Then how do we ever get out of this world of the birth and death? How do we get out of that? There is only one way, and that is to perform the actions in the right manner, in a manner that has been prescribed in Gita. And what is that manner? That manner is the path of Karma Yoga. And in Karma Yoga, we basically will be performing all actions as Yajna, with the Yajna Bhav. So this was a very important concept we learned in the last class. And what is Yajna? Yajna is essentially doing your duty. That means the action that needs to be done must not be any kind of frivolous action. The action must be what is considered to be an essential duty. So that's the first important thing, right? Don't do any actions that are forbidden actions, or if they are vain actions, because either they will have an indeterminate result or they will have a negative result for yourself. So the action must be a essential duty. Then it must be done in a selfless manner for Lokhit, for the benefit of everyone around us. It shouldn't be done only for selfish ends or selfish gain. It must be done with the right tyag buddhi. We have to give up the conceit of doership. And it must be, and how do we give up that sense of doership? Is by knowing that we are doing this with God's energy. The opportunity for the seva has been created by God, and the energy for performing it has also been given by God. We are just a medium that helps to implement the tyag buddhi of losing the conceit of doing something. The next thing is that we must give up. There must be a tyag of the result. So we should not be attached to the end result. Whatever comes has to be taken with the prasad buddhi, and we will learn a lot more about the result and how to consume it in the next few shlokas today. And when we do that, then we do it by dedicating the results to God, and we do it only for His love, only for His happiness, not for my child's happiness, not for my spouse's happiness, not for getting any kind of wealth, not for getting any kind of fame. All of that, if happens, we learn it is a yagyashisht and must be consumed with the right bhav. We'll learn more about that today. Whatever happens, we are not going to hanker after it. The importance is not to hanker after those results. So with that, we will move forward. Shloka 10. Ramya, will you read with me? So the connection.
Are we not going to do the Shloka 5 before getting on to?
Oh, you read the Shloka 5 for memorization.
The pronunciation and so on.
So they have to memorize Shloka 5, no? So you typically read it once in class.
Sorry about it.
No, sure. Okay. Shloka 5. Okay. Na hi. So it is basically na is no. Hi nisandeh, without any doubt. Kaschit, anyone. Kshan, even for a second. Api is bhi. Jatu, in any moment, in any period of time. Tishtati, rehta hai, stays. Karmakrit, without doing an action. Karyate, किया जाता है, बाध्य किया जाता है, is forced to do something. Here vashah, here क्योंकि, because, vashah, vash में, in control. Karm is action, sarv, everyone. Prakritir Jargune is the 3 gunas of the nature. So I'll just read it out. न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि जातु तिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत् कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म सर्वः प्रकृतिर्जयगुणे. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Vijay.
So let's go to Shloka 10. So Ramya, you can read the connection, the line before Shloka 10.
Explaining this functional aspect, the Lord says,
Sahayagya praja srishtva
Sahayajana praja shishtva
purovacha prajapatihi
Uvacha prajapatihi
anena prasavishwadhvam
Anena prashavishwadyam
eshvo astvishta kamadhuk. Okay, I'll break this down. This is difficult. Eshvo,
Esho
eshvo,
Eshvo
astvishta,
Asvishta
astvishta
Astvishta
kamadhuk.
Kamaduk
Yeah. So we'll read it again. Eshvo astvishta kamadhuk.
Esho Ashvishta Kamaduk
Eshvo astvishta kamadhuk.
Eshvo Ashvishta Kamaduk.
Okay. So saha along with yagyaha, yagya, praja, all of humanity, srishtva, created, puro, in ancient times, vacha, said, prajapati. Prajapati is the Brahma or the creative energies of the Lord. Anena, through this, prasa, may you. Vishwadhvam is prosper. Esh, this means it is referring to the yagya. As wo is you people, you. Astvishta kamadhuk is basically ishtu kamadhuk. Ishta kamadhuk is the fulfiller of wishes, and it is referring in this one is kamadhuk is what is considered as the fulfiller of all wishes. There is a cow called the kamadhenu. Kamadhenu is considered to be the cow that was owned by Rishi Vyas, and you could ask anything of that cow and it would make it appear miraculously. You can read.
So you can read that, Alex.
In the days of yore, along with creation, Prajapati, the creative power of the Almighty, prescribed the yajnas, assigned duties. He gave forth the system of yajnas with the mandate, carry out your development with this, for this only shall be the provider of the object of your desire.
So now we're talking specifically about the concept of yagya. We were introduced that concept in the previous shlok with the analogy of a havan and a fire, where you do your work, but you happily or you willingly put the results of your action in that fire, in that havan, as a sacrifice to the Almighty. That's what the havan is for. We put sacrifice into the havan for God's pleasure, right? So he's taken that concept and says that is the essence of yagya bhav. So yagya is the essence of karma yoga, which is essentially connecting with Bhagwan Ji on every act of duty we have. So how do we connect with Bhagwan Ji? Through our actions with yagya. So in this shlok, he's saying yagya is not something we have to do or it's meant only for humans. He's saying yagya is the principle on which I have created the whole sansar. And it's just that we've become so deluded in our body consciousness and with our ego that we act in self-interest rather than yagya. And the moment you start acting and doing your karma with yagya, you fall back into the same universal energy of creation of the entire universe. So when you do it with that yagya bhav, when you do every act with that yagya, the whole universe is aligned to you. And you get much more than what you want. But when you work with your wants and desires, you create a lot of stress, you create a lot of anxiety, you may get it, may not get it, but what you've definitely lost is one, connection with the universe, and so two, your peace of mind. Right? So this shloka basically, he's now going to tell us that I created the world on this principle. We being part of nature, it's in our best interest for whatever we want in this material world to be aligned with the principles of nature. Yeah.
And the specific reference to the stories, right? Now, this is if we've all read these stories in our when we were children, right? The Jataka tales, where the concepts are always told through a story, and there are characters that are created, typically that of animals, right? So when we are reading this, it is very similar to that. All the other scriptures, they have also been created with these stories and analogies, and you have these different characters to create a vivid and easy way to remember those basic principles. So we've heard of Kamdhenu a lot. Of we pray. We've often seen Kamdhenu being prayed to as well as the fulfiller of wishes. So here it becomes completely clear that who is this Kamdhenu? It isn't really some mythical cow out there. It really is Yagya. Yagya is, and it is in our control. So all of us have that Kamadhenu in our own homes. All we have to do is to connect to that Kamadhenu by doing our Yagya. And how is Yagya Kamadhenu? Like Abhinav explained, it is the way to do the actions such that all of universe's energies are aligned with us. And when all of energy is working in our favor, it is going to help us fulfill our wishes if they are good for us, end of the day, if it is in our shreya, if they are in our ultimate welfare. There may be some, as long as these are good wishes, as long as these wishes themselves are aligned with the wishes of the Lord. And Lord, what are Lord's wishes? Anything that is in our ultimate welfare. So as Kumar always says, that I will
I couldn't remember that.
I'll tell you what that one is. It's a very beautiful thing that he says. तू तू वो कर जो मैं चाहता हूँ, फिर वही होगा जो तू चाहता है. If your wish is aligned with my wish, then everything that you wish for will actually happen in this world. Right?
And the opposite is तू अगर तू वो कर जो तू चाहता है.
एक ही है. There is no opposite to that.
There is an opposite.
Okay.
We'll get it, and I'll put it in the WhatsApp group.
Okay. There's only one that I remember. Okay. The important one is that you align your wishes to his wishes, and then everything that you want will get done in this world, right? Because your wish becomes his wish. So yeah, I think this. When I had read this shlok for the first time, it had hit me very strongly, and I still remember it's one of my favorite shlokas to remember, that how much power is there in our lives which we just do not realize. Right? Brahma, the creative energy of the world, has been aligned in this manner. The very creation of this universe happened with this principle. We all have Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh instilled in us, and we express it daily in our lives in this world. The strength with which we can express these energies in this world depend on how strongly we are aligned with the rest of the world. Right? We've seen Shah Rukh Khan's famous dialogue, right? When you want something with all your heart, then the entire cosmic energy aligns with you to make that thing happen for you. Right? Now, the only difference is how you interpret that word want, what you want, with something with like the deepest of the desire, right? Now, the deepest of the desire, as you will realize, is something that is much more permanent than what will get thwarted every time something changes in your environment. So the worldly desires are typically those that will change as your circumstance changes. That will change every time something in your external environment changes. And so they are very impermanent in nature. Hence, you will never have enough energy to be able to direct towards that desire. But if you have something that is a lot more permanent, that will stay on, you will keep directing your creative energies towards that desire on a consistent basis. And if you do that, then there is no doubt that you will achieve that. Okay.
By the way, I remembered the quote, so I'm going to say it. If you do,
Okay, fine.
if you do as you wish, I will give you as I wish. But if you do as I wish, I will give you what you wish.
What?
And that is the concept of Yagya Bhav. So Bhagwan Ji is saying, if you do as I wish, that means I wish you to do things with Yagya, then I will give you whatever you wish in the material world. But if you do things as your own pleasure or your own liking, your own self-interest, then I will also give you what I wish. Then don't expect the results that you want. Because he has to balance it out. That's the quote. Please continue reading.
Stipulation of duties. Here the Lord explains that in the process of creation, when various bodies and forms are created, then the functional aspect of God, which is engaged in the work of creation, is called Brahma, the creator. At the time of creation, the essential duties are also laid down, and along with the duties, the manner of their performance is also prescribed. The Vedas propound the duties and the manner of their performance is prescribed by scriptures, social traditions, family customs, regulatory doctrines, and so on. By such regulated performances, on one hand, a person makes steady progress towards self-realization, and on the other, all cherished desires are provided through yagya, compromising essential individual and social obligations. It has been clarified in this shloka that yagya is in reality the legendary Kamadhenu. Generally, the Kamadhenu is picturized as a divine cow possessing extraordinary powers for fulfillment of all desires. The idea is that a cow provides milk on being fed on grass and straw. In the same manner, when individual and social duties are performed dedicatedly in the form of yagya, they are like oblations poured into the sacred fire. The performance of duties provides the necessities of life, and this is how yagya becomes a provider of cherished desires. In fact, the object of yagya is to perform all acts beautifully with a sense of dedication of their results to God.
So let me, I think we've talked about a little bit on the bigger picture, right? Like the whole universe is aligned with the principle of yagya. Let me break this down as an example. Everything in nature, like the entire planet Earth, if you look at the way it works, you have a sun. Sun gives us light and heat. It powers millions of activities on a daily basis just by being present, right? That sun heat, one of the role it plays is it allows water to evaporate and get into clouds, right? And the power of the wind moves those clouds so that it rains. And when it rains, it gives the opportunity for earth to create soil that does creation of all of us. It provides us the food and nourishment for all of us to survive. Now, each element of nature here that I've described does its act with a yagya bhav. It does its duty and it gives back to the system with the right principle of results to God. The sun alone doesn't create life. Earth alone cannot do it. Cloud alone cannot do it. It is all part of a connected nature. And because we have a body that stems from earth, we are also part of that nature, which means we also have to play a role as part of that nature. But our civilization, the way it's evolved, or our natural disposition, not our previous lives, or what
Sanskars.
our sanskars have come in, and we are becoming the cloud that says, hey, 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 I'll only give rain to those countries that actually pay me well. No, I don't feel like doing rain today. Hey, you know what? I think it's a really good idea for 8 months no rain, and then 3 months we'll do a lot of rain so that they pay me more. Oh, I have a really creative deal on how to go distribute water. So, and that's exactly how we've operated on this planet, and we've made a mess of sustainability, of concepts, of our entire nature, of our bodies, of our mind, of our entire well-being. There is no end to the amount that has been polluted, right from our internal state of mind to the external world. All because we've broken away from this natural principle of Yagya Bhav. Doing things, paying it forward, doing it for Lok Sangra, which is for the benefit of all, and not be attached to the results.
Very importantly, that you give first and then take. Otherwise, the mentality is take first. Here, Yagya, majorly, very, very importantly, first you give and then something will remain and you take that. It's always give first, which we have broken away from for a very large part as a society.
Yeah, so that's in a sense what Yagya Bhav is. It is us to understand that it's a mechanism for us to fall back into the way the world works and be part of that system. And when we do, we get rewarded accordingly, internally as well as externally.
Like that movie Avatar, it says, right?
Yeah.
The connection to that cosmic energy that they talked of in that movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, even it's, there was another thing that I wanted to say.
Sorry, I interrupted your thought process.
That's fine.
Okay.
Take it. Ashwin, would you like to read the connection?
Connection. Now, an important point is clarified by the Lord to show how the Yajna becomes the provider of cherished desires.
Devan bhavaya tanena.
Devan bhavaya
Bhavaya tanena.
tanena.
Te deva bhavayantu vaha.
Te deva bhayavantunaha.
Bhavayantu vaha.
Bhavayantu vaha.
Parasparam bhavayantaha.
Parasparam bhavayantaha.
Shreya param vapsyatha.
Shreya param vapsyata.
Devan, the gods. Bhavaya tanen. Bhavayata is to strengthen or to prosper, to give energy to. In through this action, Deva, gods, Bhavayantu, unnat karenge, will prosper. Vah, tum logon ko, you people. Parasparam, mutually. Bhavayantaha, unnat, prosper or strengthen. Shreya, kalyan, to your benefit. Param, ultimate benefit. Vapsyatah, प्राप्त हो जाओगे, you will receive.
So, essentially, this shloka talks about how, if you perform with yagya, do your desires get fulfilled? Right? Like this entire thing that I'm saying, if you do as he wishes, then he will give whatever I wish. This shloka talks about how that works.
Let's read.
By performance of your duties devoutly in the form of yajna, strengthen the divine powers, then those divine powers would strengthen you. Thus, by mutual strengthening, you would achieve the supreme purpose of life.
Now, here the word Dev, God. God is basically, what is God? In our visualization, we think of this as like, Indra or the sun god or the moon god, etc. These are picturized as, these are basically specific energies of the universe, very specific energies of the universe, which work in a certain manner, which can be invoked. For example, sun has a certain type of energy to it, and if it is required, you can concentrate that energy using a magnifying glass to actually burn a paper, right? So there are different types of energies in this world. They are represented through the concept of gods, and whenever we require them to work in a certain manner, we need to focus those energies and channelize them in a certain manner, and the whole concept of yajna is around that. And the word Dev is also used here in the context of the world around us. Okay, the gods are the principal energies that work in this world. And hence, when we say that we are through Yajna Bhav, we should strengthen the gods, basically that means we need to strengthen the energies around us. So, when through our actions we are keeping the water clean or we are keeping the air clean, then we are strengthening the water god or the god of the wind, which is Indra, right? So when we say that we are doing a yajna to, for example, when we do the oblations of ghee, right, it is supposed to purify the air. So that is, in your own way, you're strengthening the wind god. When you're making sure that you're not contributing to polluting the earth or the water, you're strengthening those particular energies of the world. So practically, this is how you can relate to it. And this is at a gross level that I'm talking of. As we start understanding and we start doing that activity of strengthening the gods around us, we will start to realize subtler energies from the same thing. And how these devas start to represent subtler energies which will come back into ourselves, and we'll see how we are strengthening our own system mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, how we are strengthening ourselves, because as is outside, so is inside. Vivi?
Strengthening of divine powers. In this shloka, the word Deva has been used. Ordinarily, this word is translated in English as God, which signifies a superhuman being having power over nature and living beings. The correct sense of this word would be to visualize the one universal power manifesting itself in various functions of the phenomenal world. As such, the word signifies a divine manifestation through which Almighty God bestows His propitious blessings on His creation. Let us take the sun god as an instance. It does not mean the luminous orb which shines in the skies. It signifies that divine energy potential which lights up the orb for the welfare of the universe. The divine power are always active in different types of manifestations. For example, the water of the ocean rises clouds which bring rain. The earth sustains the flora and fauna. The air keeps on blowing and disturbing the cosmic energy. Distributing the cosmic energy. Sorry. These are examples of divine powers which continually bestow the blessings of the Almighty. The performance of yajna does not directly bestow the fulfillment of desires, but it strengthens these divine powers. By the word strengthening is meant a process whereby the divine powers remain active for the benefit of human beings without any impediment. In this shloka, sanction has been given for only such acts as are performed meticulously and dedicatedly as yajna, whereby the divine powers may be strengthened. It does not sanction acts done only to advance narrow, selfish ends. All those acts are self-destructive, which instead of strengthening gods, raise impediments in their beneficial functioning.
So, so here he's firstly asking us to change our drishti, our perception, our viewpoint. And there is this false viewpoint about, oh, God is somewhere up there in the sky and he controls everything, etc. And we are all puppets, and that's what people fight against. That's not what it is. He's saying, no, I'm actually present everywhere on Sansar, in your world. I am there everywhere. It is up to you to see and recognize me. I am there and I will always be there. Even if you don't acknowledge my presence, I will continue to give. मुझे कोई problem नहीं है. But change your perspective to start connecting with him everywhere around us. So, the person who started our Singapore chapter, her name is Aparna Didi. Like, I actually don't even know her second name. We all call her Aparna Didi. So she's been in India now for the last 3 to 4 months. So she sent us a message. I don't even know what group, but she sent us a message. Oh, on the Yoga Sadhana group. So there is actually a WhatsApp group of Gita Parivar members in Singapore, where it's the group. The group is called Gita Parivar Yoga Sadhana, which basically is a WhatsApp group where anyone in the member sees a manifestation of divine energy, they share it in that group. For all of us to start helping all of us to change our drishti, right? So there is one person in the group, his name is Kaushik. He lives very close to ECP. So every morning he wakes up, every morning he takes a picture of the sunrise and he sends it to the group saying, Bhagwanji is waking up, the sun god is waking up to light up our world. Every morning he has that perception that to recognize the divine energy with the sunrise. And all of us who live with views, who can see the sunrise, we're like, okay, the sun is risen, must be 7:45, time to get to things. Or the sun is a bit high, it's really hot today, boss, I better wear sunglasses and hat before I go out. And like, we think of it, but from our own karma. We don't take a moment to say, hey, there is something beautiful, there's a divine energy that powers it, and for that, thank you. Right? So anyways, I digress. So in this group, Aparna Didi sent a video, and Tuhina and I were looking at that video and we're like, it essentially was a video of, she's in Ghaziabad in her parents' house or whatever, and of a mango tree. And in that mango tree somewhere, you can see a monkey. And that monkey was eating mango, and it was literally a monkey eating mango. Okay, so Tuhina and I looked at it and I was just like, okay, whatever. And I got out. I didn't really pay attention. Then that entire WhatsApp group for the next 40, 50 messages were just talking about how Hanumanji has manifested as a monkey and his energy is there in that monkey. Look at the way he's choosing the mangoes. He's only eating the sweet ones, the sour ones he doesn't eat. And so there's entire conversation about, oh, of course, anything that Hanuman will eat automatically will be a sweet one. I can't even repeat those sentences because I don't think we are there at that level of perception. But it's just an example that Bhagwanji is everywhere and his divine energy is manifests everywhere. It's us to be able to see it and connect to that, right?
So in a more practical, I'll give you a gross example to understand how this works, right? There are forests out there which provide us a lot of resources to live our lives, including timber, right? The correct way to strengthen the environment would be that if you take something from that forest, you take it in a manner that doesn't kill the source from which you're taking something. And you replenish back whatever you're taking from it. Because if you're doing it in that sustainable manner, then you are not creating any impediment for that divine energy to continue to work. Or if you are, for example, taking water from a river or a lake or an ocean, you're doing it again in a sustainable manner so that others can continue to take benefit of the same energies, that same water, in a sustainable manner over a long period of time. If we don't do that, we take whatever we need to and we continue to pollute through our factories into the ocean, because ocean is not next to us, right? It is not impacting my safe supply of water. Then over a period of time, that water god has got weakened considerably over a period of time. And then at some stage, it will come back to bite us through the water shortages in different areas, right? That is one. Or when we are withdrawing water from bore wells, again, when we are consuming more than what we are giving away, or we are consuming more than what can be sustained, then we are again weakening the gods, right? And this is very, very important. And this is at a gross level. So, but something that we can all recognize through our own actions on an everyday basis of how we are consuming in our daily lives. Are we strengthening the gods or are we weakening them? Very, very important for us to look back onto our consumption on a daily basis to see how are we relating to the society, how are we consuming. In Singapore, we are blessed with 24/7 water. Should we continue to waste that, or do we use it properly so that all the other places where people do not have that clean water access may be able to achieve it because we are not consuming more than our fair share?
So, I mean, sustainability is like a modern word, which is a fad, but this is like a 3,000-year-old text,
Which is talking about
which is talking about
sustainability.
it, but it's talking about it in the sense that when you live with that bhav, with that yagya bhav, you're strengthening the system so that others can also benefit from it. And when others benefit, you naturally benefit, right? Because you're part of that system. So if you operate from that bhav, you're strengthening the system, which in effect also strengthens yourself.
And right now, the pandemic that is happening, right, it is a very strong reminder of how if we strengthen the system or we weaken the system directly impacts us. For example, unfortunately, in India, we are seeing a very, very poorly managed pandemic situation. And we have seen a lot of cases of scam where, and I've personally heard that from some of my friends who have got scammed, when they have paid really, really lot of money to get. I think Vijay was also sharing a similar example where people are asking for vaccines or not vaccines, medicines or oxygen, etc., and they've paid a lot of money, and then what gets delivered is just not what they were expecting, or it's just empty stuff, right? Now these are examples of how we are behaving sometimes in a very systematic manner, especially when it happens at a government level, and then personally also in different ways, that we are weakening the system when all we are doing is not adhering to the rules, because rules are for everyone else and not for me. So, and it comes down to very small acts, like you get stopped at a red light and the trulla stops you because you've done something wrong, a wrong offense or whatever. You will give him 100 rupees to get away from that guy, but you will not adhere to the system. Yeah, it's okay, I can drive past a red light and then just give 100 rupees if I get caught, type of stuff, right? These are all very small acts when we are transgressing or going over and not adhering to the rules of the society or that of scriptures or that of the regulatory norms that are given to us. Then we are all in our own little ways slowly chipping away at the gods or the divine powers or the or the energies that bind the system together and make it function. And when we continue to chip it away, at some point of time, the system will collapse. But if we all do our own duty that we are supposed to strengthen the system, then the system will keep us safe as well. So in Singapore, a lot of things work because everyone sticks to the rule that they are supposed to, right? Whether in what way that is implemented is different. But the point is, if everyone does what they're supposed to, you're not supposed to be out in more than groups of 2. If everyone sticks to that, then everyone benefits from that. One person starts to break that rule, then it will slowly chip away, and then the second person and the third person, the entire thing collapses. So it all starts from that one person. It all starts from us. Instead of asking if others are following this rule or not, have we stuck to the rules? Have we done our way of contributing to the gods or to the society or not? So in every small way, you can start to implement this principle and start to ask yourself when you're consuming and whenever we are acting in the society.
Just one, actually, something similar, I experienced the same, that giving the money to when you break the traffic light, or you break the kind of some certain sort of a signal. And we end up paying, like a small amount to kind of avoid giving our license and all that stuff, to go through that, process of a proper fine, basically. So this thought came in my mind that, it's the wrong thing that we are doing, that we just give little bit of money there and we kind of go ahead, rather than going to the, going with the proper process of paying the fine. So what you mentioned, so according to you, what I understand, that we should follow all the process which has been laid, even if it's a small one.
Yes, because it all starts from that smallest thing. Once
it's-
you've done it once, once you've gone through that pain once, you will think twice before breaking that red light, because you don't want to go through that pain again.
Or not on purpose. It was like by mistake. We didn't know that lane was like one way only or something. So, but yeah, I mean, the point is that even if it's the smallest of an act, we should follow the right process rather than just going the easy way, basically.
Yes, because easy way is the path of likes and dislikes, and that's not what we should be taking at all. I mean, and we all have done these small transgressions, right? So important to look back. You were saying something?
That's fine. I think it's continuing.
You'll read
Ashwini?
it.
Okay. Yeah, can I just say something? Like what y'all were just saying, that if you do what he wants, he will surely do what you want. So like you put others before you and you do for them. And I'm seeing from my long life is that really every block they dissolve away. But there's one thing I want to understand how to handle this. You know that you are doing something, you are doing it consciously because you want to help with your time, money, or also every other way. But sometimes you are taken for granted. Like, people think you're not worldly wise. But a part of you understands that you are doing it and your God is helping you dissolve all your problems and everything around you. But there's that one thing where you also know some people look at you, oh, she will do this. Uh, that how do you handle that feeling through Gita?
Sure. So can you be more specific about the specific example that's going on in your mind right now?
Okay, like then maybe not as large or as big as sustainability, but you're the first point of contact for helping people or your friend circle. Suppose when they have come back and they are quarantining, so you're the one who will send the food when they are coming back, not in the COVID period. You're the one when they have come back home, you have sent across the food. But then you are kind of, sometimes you feel you are taken for granted. Like they know that you will do it. I mean, that appreciation, it's not that you're looking for that, but it's always good to know that you are not taken for granted. I mean, you are doing it because of this bhav. You know that you have to be in a path which is the best and which will make your God happy. So I don't know
this
whether
question, Tina or Abhinav.
What's that?
Can I add in for Kakuli?
Sure.
Two
Actually,
things,
when
right?
I'm very keen to really understand that what's a demarcation of really doing your best, and sometimes you come up to a situation वो बहुत आपकी कमजोरी बन जाती है. So that is always a big dilemma. So please really help me on that. Thanks.
Sure. Vijay, you
Two things, right? Like one is prasad buddhi. So don't stick on with the results or the expectations, right? Like you do it, you don't, whatever comes out of it, you are doing as a seva bhav, right? Like you are doing it as a service of God or service of humanity. So you should not ideally attached to the results. So that's what we had been seeing all along, right, Kakoli? So, and that is one thing. So taken for granted, like, so that's the minor ego part still sticking on with us, right? Like, okay, I'm doing this, I expect respect or honor or whatever they are supposed to do. Like after they are in the troubled times, we don't have the visibility of what they are going through personally, mentally, all that kind of thing. People under depression, with all this very tough times, people would be having a lot more worries and so on. So to take care of their own. So at that time, we are trying to do some support. We should do that with that mindset as we had been discussing, as a seva bhav and service to God, and not sticking on to the outcome or results is what
You,
my thought is.
you beautifully explained it, Vijay, and you definitely hit two very important points. But let me elaborate a little. One other element is be very. So, firstly, the only acknowledgement we need is from Bhagwanji. So, in your story right now, Kakuli, you're saying you're getting that acknowledgement because he's taking away so much of your suffering, etc. So, and he's bringing you that peace of mind. Then don't worry about other people's acknowledgement or appreciation, because other people's acknowledgement and appreciation, like Vijay said, it comes straight to the ego. You're not doing anything, he is doing it through you. So you don't need that appreciation. If someone gives you a compliment, push it upwards. That's not for us, and that's a slippery slope. If you feel like you are doing it, then that's ego coming in. Kakuli, you're not doing it. Bhagwanji knows your food is so good that a person coming back to Singapore, if they get that first meal from you, you will light up their houses. So he's giving you that opportunity, or he's using you as a medium to go spread a little bit of his joy. He's using you as a medium to spread a little bit of comfort. He's using you as a medium to build a home for hundreds of homes who you serve. And in that, find your satisfaction. When we look for it externally, that's where distinction happens, ego happens. And the other point I'll say is, who are you feeding? You're feeding Bhagwanji. Every human being has the same capital S self. Every human being has the same soul. Every human being is a manifestation of the divine energy. Just like a Hanuman is a manifestation manifested in a bandar. So who are you feeding? You're feeding Bhagwanji, you're feeding the look, you're feeding the system. So you don't need anything back from that other person's ego to acknowledge. You know Bhagwanji is surviving and he's living and he's thriving.
And a lot of times these the results are never in the same manner. It is not a 1:1 transaction ever, right? In this shloka, it's very clear that a lot of times things come back to you in a circular manner. You're giving to someone, you will receive from completely different source, and you may never be able to connect the dots. And that is the whole concept of paying it forward. For everything that you have received from so many other sources to be where you are giving away to whatever opportunity is being presented to you in a normal course of life, right? So the second thing is, where are you drawing your energy from? If the fact that somebody hasn't acknowledged us is creating a sense of unhappiness or a sense of like I'm feeling a little deflated, then what is happening is that when you give, it is normal. When we give, we are giving away energy. And Rita, this will also speak to your query. When we give, we are depleting away a certain part of our energy, which means it must be replenished back. So when we are feeding the system, we also need to feed ourselves. Charity starts at home, which means Gita implementation also starts at home, but also love. that we spread out to others starts by loving ourselves first. So when we are doing something which is depleting energy, we need to find a way to replenish that energy back. Even the great saints of the world, when they are out there doing, like I'm talking about even Sankhya yogis who come out to do a lot of good for the world, they regularly go back and close themselves off to just do their samadhi because they get their energy from that samadhi by their connection to Lord. And this is something that Kumar and Aparna Didi have shared with us consistently, that even they need to take care of themselves. They need to go back and they need to do what they need to do to get the energy so that they can come back again and give to the world. So we have to be very consistent for ourselves also and be aware that when I'm giving something, I must find a way to replenish that energy back and find things that will help me get that energy back. What is it that gives you the energy?
So
Whether it will be different for everyone, right?
So the energy element is, if you interact and get energy from people and things, you're working with very small sources. अब इसने appreciate नहीं किया तो मुझे मेरी energy positive से negative हो गई. But if you tap into the universal energy, the divine energy, then all you need to do is stay connected there. And the question is, how do you do it? One, purpose. Be very clear of the purpose of your action. And two, do the act with the right bhav, which is the yagya bhav, as a offering to the Lord. That's it.
So in this particular example, you want to elaborate how will that change from the lower level to the higher level?
The khana khlana. So in the khana khlana example, the making food for others, the example would be that, okay, someone's coming in, they require food, or you call them and you're like, oh, I'd love to send you a meal. Your purpose is, I'm feeding the divine energy. Right now, I'm feeding it through a human being.
And then before you go, this particular person,
before you, and it's like before you go, before you start cooking, you're like, Bhagwanji, give me the energy to make this a pleasant meal, as this is a prasad for them, so that they may continue doing their duty and they may continue strengthening the system for all of us. That's it. Now you operate from that bhav. Now if they appreciate or don't appreciate, you are equanimous because you felt you did it with the right purpose. And that's it. You'll feel energized about doing that action.
Which means always keep in mind by God and for God. So that's the kind of the moral of the entire thing. That मैं करने वाली को और मैं कर इसके लिए.
Rita, it's difficult to hear you. It's not clear.
Yeah, actually, I'm having issues since today with my Wi-Fi, so I'm so sorry for that. Yeah, it's not an issue with
it's very unclear, but I think I got the first part where you were saying that the concept is that we are doing something for the God by the energy given by the God. I think that's something
for God and by God.
Yes, absolutely. For God and by the energy given by the God. Yes, absolutely.
Smita, you were saying something?
No, I think I was saying that it also ties back to your earlier example, I think, which you gave last week, where you said that something has come to your mind, like, it was about, picking up that trash. So, the act that has come to your mind, that you have to give something to someone, not everybody gets that in their mind. So, that itself is something that has come by God. So we just go ahead and do it, because if we don't do it, then our inner conscience will keep saying that I had to do it, I didn't do it. And that will make us feel even not so good. Rather than the appreciation, the inner conscience itself will keep calling us that, you should have done it. That would make us more happy. So I think mostly the happiness we derive is from ourselves by doing something which comes to us and then, fulfilling it.
Absolutely. And this is also where we start to recognize how all of us, given our Deshkal Parasthiti, we have different opportunities of doing seva. A doctor will have a very different way of doing seva. Kakuli is getting this seva being given to her, which is very distinct. It is not something that has, for example, come into my life even once, right? So I have never got that opportunity to do seva of that kind. But should I hanker after that? No. It is very specifically come into Kakuli's life in a very natural manner, because it is for her to do something and it is for her shreya. She will benefit a lot from delivering that seva, so it has come to her. I am getting a different type of seva in my life, which I will do with the best of my abilities. And as we start to get more in tune with the cosmic energies, with the Lord and the purpose, we start to realize that every seva that comes to us is already like all resources to provide for that seva, Bhagwanji provides. He never ever gives us something that we cannot handle. Whatever is required, whether it is physical resources, material resources, mental resources, emotional resources, whatever is required to be done, he first gives us the resources, then he gives us the opportunity to do that particular seva.
Just one more question around this. Like sometimes, since you are reading Gita and you are around such people, you understand the philosophy behind being equanimous with whatever you are doing and not having. I mean, it's like Shraddha Bhav kind of attitude. But sometimes it's kind of inevitable to go back to your normal self, where you kind of feel bad about the things not turning up the way you're expected, even if you gave your best. Or even simple, like you cook and you want people to praise you, or if you have done a good gesture, you want people to reciprocate. I feel both of my personality, they exist kind of together. So there are times when I feel that, oh, I have that right set of attitude, and there are times when I would feel miserable, because things were not the way it should have been, the way kind of I worked or I did my best or things like that. How to kind of remember that right self all the time?
Swadhyay.
Yeah,
I say Swadhyay.
Swadhyay.
Yes,
I mean,
because it's a
few
reminder
shlokas
to
every
yourself.
day help as a very strong reminder. But second, I can also guarantee one thing. Once you become aware, you can never become unaware,
Absolutely.
right? So now that you are aware that as long as you are connected to sansar, happiness will follow, misery will follow happiness, and there is no two ways about that.
More like
So
I would
whenever
use the
you're
word happiness, pleasure in suffering.
when you are in that state, right? It's okay. Just build that awareness that, why am I here? Because I actually paid so much value to somebody saying thank you, which is such a small thing. I have a long way to go in my sadhana. I have a long way to go in my journey to realize my own divinity. All of these are just moments for us to build awareness that such a small thing can bring bring me down. I have to be more careful. How do I read? And like Kakoli, and I applaud you, Kakoli, for sharing that very specific example, because it's examples like these that now I can guarantee when Kakoli goes back, she shared a very specific example, and she shared a very genuine experience from that situation. But I can surely say that now when Kakoli goes and does it, if she still feels that unhappiness, that awareness is there in Kakoli. She'll go back and be like, oh, mere bhav mein kami thi. Why am I doing it for them? Why am I not doing it for them? And then she'll go back. Next time she'll try again. Next time she'll try again. Till a moment where it'll come naturally to her. Where she'll look forward to serve food because she's like, that's my way of connecting with divinity. Right? And so it's a change is it's a long process, but one that we all have already started as we build our own awareness around.
There's no point in feeling bad about this change. It's like, it takes 9 months to build a baby. So you cannot shortcut that process. It will naturally take a while for all of us to transform, right? From that little caterpillar to the butterfly. That transformation process has started. Just trust the process. Follow the process of swadhyay, of the classes, the shravan, manan, nididhyasa. Kirtan will happen. That butterfly will come out. There is no doubt about that process. Just trust the process and follow it.
And all of us are in the same boat. Huh?
Yeah.
We have
We
enough
are all
number of
Arjuns.
breakdowns, and we have enough number of things, but it's just that we are blessed with this book to go back and look for answers that speak to us rather than feed our ego and mind forward. I think somebody else was trying to say something. Was it Nana?
No, this is Vijay. Just one point I wanted to add. One thing is the most satisfying thing giveaway is food, right? Everybody will have fulfillment with the food and say thank you so much at any point of time. If you give money, if you give anything else, people want more and more and more and so on. But food satisfies the heart. So God bless you, Kaka.
Spoken like a true man. Spoken like a true man. They say, na, a man's heart is through the stomach. Spoken like a true man. I agree with you, by the way. She doesn't, but I agree with you. Nana.
I was just wondering about the line between duty and getting exploited. Like, sometimes that the person actually is trying to push your boundaries. Like, probably they can, what do you call it? They know you will do it, so they will ask you to do it. But they actually can manage without it or something like that. Or they're trying to get the easy way around things. You feel that and you want to say no. Is it okay to say no?
Absolutely.
When you feel that?
Absolutely. If you are doing it and it is affecting your state of mind because it's taking your time away from your other duties, and you don't seem, or you don't, the other person not explained enough why that's urgent for them or important to them, all means stand up for yourself. You're not supposed to be a pushover. That's not what Gita is teaching you at all. Gita is saying you please prioritize and focus on your essential duty. And the way you decide your essential duty is by defining its purpose. And if it's aligned to that purpose, go ahead and do it. If it's not, do not indulge.
In fact, Gita is a way to make sure that all of us are extremely strong people. The strength that comes from Gita is more than whatever strength you can get from any other source. See, at no point of time you as a sadhak can ever be a pushover or somebody who can exploit you, right? Saying yes or no is something that will be determined as per why is behind that purpose. If that person is asking you to do their duty, then by all means say no. Why should you do somebody else's work? But if there is a purpose, there's a reason behind you doing someone else's work, then you will decide at that moment whether it is important, whether it is essential, should you do it or not. At no point of time will Gita say that say yes to everyone. You're not supposed to be a yes man at all. At all.
Discerning when to say no, probably it'll come with time. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, a very important checkpoint is the internal state you feel when saying yes and no. If by saying yes, you feel energized in that instant, you know you're kind of aligned. And if you stop and you think, you'll be like, yeah, that's the purpose of the activity. That's part of my duty. I like doing it. If you say yes and there's a little bit of hesitancy, if you're not excited by it, then take a pause and say, let me think about this and come back.
And for me, one of the things has been that I tend to say yes to a lot of things. Like instantly, I say yes. That's my default way of like, yes, I'll do it, right? It's very difficult for me to say no because I don't like to disappoint people. And which is something that is very true for most of us. We are people pleasers at heart because of the way our sanskars have been developed, right? We want to make other people happy around us. And that causes us to sometimes deplete our own energies, to say yes to so many social obligations that we are not necessarily keen on, right? And so one of the things that I did for myself was to stop myself from saying yes or no or making any commitment in the spur of the moment. So if somebody asks something of me, I will take a moment to consider. I will ask the questions that need to be asked for me to understand why is this important, when does this need to get done, and what will it take for me to deliver if I say yes to this ask of me. And then I tend to go back to think about it, to see whether my time and schedule permits this or not. And then I will commit to it. And I'm still learning, okay? I make a lot of mistakes, and I have enrolled Abhinav to help me because he's way better than me at this. So I've enrolled him. I've told him
I
at one
basically say no to everything.
he's the other extreme. His first go-to reaction is no, and my first go-to reaction is yes. And we used to have a little bit of conflict about it, where like, you're just so like, how can we say no to this? And he's like, how can you say yes to this? Like, when are we going to do it? And then, we set this protocol that I need to take a step back. I need to breathe. I need to think, go back, look at my schedule. When will I? And most of the time for him, it's like, you are so overbooked that before you say yes to something, ask yourself, what will you take out of your schedule before you say yes to something?
No,
I never do that. I am always like, it's just an add-on. Yes, yes, yes. Until it's like, it will bubble over and I'm not able to do anything. And then I feel out of integrity. And then it like, makes me feel really bad. So perfect this thing of like implying why am I doing something, the purpose.
Should we continue reading?
I have a question as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to know, when we talk about the capital S self, is that nurturing the Deva within us, or is it like, what do you like? What is it like within us? How can we nurture the Deva, like inculcate the capital S self? So I don't know my question.
No, it's a good question. Ramya, a capital S self is actually the Lord himself.
Within us.
Okay. He is the Lord within us. And the Lord expresses himself in different forms of energies, which are called the Devas or the gods. Right? So, for example, the fire god within us. One example of the fire god within us is called the digestive fire. Right? It is one form of fire within us which helps us to assimilate things. Similarly, there is a fire inside your mind that helps you assimilate complex ideas, thoughts, energies, right? Similarly, there's a fire god inside of our heart which helps us assimilate emotions, right? So taking the grosser example, because it's easier to understand, is the fire god inside of us in the form of digestive fire. How are you going to strengthen this? Is by choosing the right forms of food to eat, by choosing the right time to eat. If we eat late at night, we all know that it impacts our digestive system in a wrong manner. And there are good things to eat, there are bad things to eat. There are things that stimulate, there are things that are sattvic. Right? We all know of that. And by choosing the right actions and eating with the right bhav helps us strengthen the fire god in that one particular form. This is an example.
So connecting to what we were saying earlier, a very easy way to strengthen and become aware of the capital S self within us is by connecting everything we do to higher purpose. Because that alignment of purpose basically aligns his purpose through us.
For example,
and we're able to listen to that voice because we're invoking that voice. We're constantly asking, what is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this? How do I do it with the right yagya bhav? And then slowly you're strengthening that channel within you where the conversation becomes seamless.
Yeah. So going back to this example of Jataragini, right? Digestive firepower. When we are eating food, why are we eating the food? If we are eating it for the pleasure of our tongue, then you will end up eating stuff like chips and other such things, samosas, a lot of samosas, like whatever, like stuff that is not necessarily considered good. The purpose of eating food is pleasure, then you will eat it like that. But if the purpose is to nourish the body, then you will be a lot more careful of the food that you eat, and you'll probably enjoy sattvic food a lot more, because the whole purpose is to just nourish this temple of God to be able to do your duties in the most effective manner, which will also make it very, very easy for you to do certain types of actions like doing fasting if it is required for your body, right? Then you do not have your mental ability to do the fasting will be much, much better, because the purpose and the energy for doing that is not coming from food. You will not miss that. The energy from food gets replaced by energy from the Lord. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's continue to read.
Here it is necessary to understand what is meant by strengthening or weakening of gods. Are they dependent on human beings for the strengthening? No, they are not. Each god has his powers, which are manifestations of the divine powers. But it is by his acts that a man enables himself to avail of or deprives himself of the benefits flowing from the divine potential. For instance, the water of a river is used for the purposes of irrigation or drinking. If dirty drains or effluents do not pollute it, people would derive immense benefit from this water. But if the water is polluted, it would cease to be potable or fit for irrigation. Who would suffer? Certainly not the river, but the people. In the same manner, in localities where mills and factories are set up, the atmospheric air is polluted with smoke and other harmful gases. Those who breathe in that air run the risk of having their lungs affected adversely, and they fall victim to several ailments. The beneficial potential of the air is brought down considerably by corrupting pollution. This is the sense behind weakening of gods. There is a tradition of worship of different deities. During such worship, mantras are chanted and rice, barley seeds, sesame seeds, etc. are offered to the deity. Indeed, the importance lies in the mantras, for their incantation is considered to be very powerful. Whatever material is offered is only an index of the sentiments of the worshipper. Gods appreciate sentiment and not the material. A reverential sentiment strengthens gods, which means the worshipper becomes fit to receive the god's bounties. But the worship would be in vain if it is devoid of reverence or if the actions of the worshipper go against the strengthening of the deity. If, on one hand, the god of air is worshipped and on the other, factories of the worshipper pollute the air, what good can be expected? Thus, it has to be ensured that the actions of a worshipper conform to strengthening of gods. In the Shloka, the Lord says the actions of Yagya should be performed with great enthusiasm, but without an eye on the material benefits. Such an action does not give rise to compulsive obligations. In addition, it leads to happiness in this life and to emancipation hereafter. This indeed is the supreme gain of human life.
So I would underline this line. A reverential sentiment strengthens gods. And out here, we've just read gods and divine powers means the entire universal energy that strengthens the entire planet, right? Which means the worshipper becomes fit to receive God's bounty. So as you do your duty with that yagya bhav, you become fit. The universe responds back by giving you what you wish for. So there's a story here I want to share. And Tuna, you might have to help me remember the story a little bit. So there was a very poor fellow. He used to live in a village in India, and he was always hungry. Always hungry. So every day he would get like half a bowl of rice or whatever. He would gobble it up. And he was always hungry. So one day he met a saint. Okay? And he told the saint, please just, I really want more food. I'm just always hungry. So the saint said, but Bhagwanji has only put half a bowl of rice in your destiny.
No. You only have 2 bags of grape written in your destiny because of your past actions, and he's trying to give you half a bowl every day so that you get some food to eat for the rest of the day of your life, so that you don't go completely hungry on any single day. So he's managing his resources for you like this. So that boy said, okay. So the guy said, Santuji, if you meet God next time, then please make sure that you ask him to just give me everything that I'm supposed to get in one go, so that at least for a few days I eat, pura bhar pet, and I just don't want to have this feeling of being hungry. So just after that, I will do whatever needs to be done. But for the time being, just ask him once. So you want to take it?
So then he went a little further. The next day under a tree, he found 2 bags of rice.
No, right outside his house.
Right outside his house, he found 2 bags of rice.
Yeah.
He was delighted. He made a massive feast. He told everyone in the village.
So he basically
He invited
everything himself, and then the rest of the food that he had, he thought that is the first time in my life I'm experiencing what it feels like to have you to not be hungry. Why don't I want to share that with other people in the village, because I know others also have gone hungry so many times. So without a regard to his next day, because he knows that this is the only thing I have for the rest of my life, he cooked the whole thing up and he distributed it to all the people in the village. Because he was like, I have experienced a bliss, I want others to experience it too, without being selfish about himself. He gave that, and everyone ate, and he didn't think about what will happen tomorrow. Okay, whatever will happen, happen. He slept. He woke up in the morning, he found again 2 bags of rice outside his door. And he was quite shocked. He's like, where did this come from? I already have consumed my 2 bags of rice.
But he's like, before I ask someone, I may as well
eat it.
Take it in and cook it.
So he cooked the whole thing up again. He ate to his fulfillment, and he distributed everything else to the rest of the village. Now that continued. Every day he woke up, every day there are 2 bags of rice.
It became 2 to 5 bags, became 15 bags, 40 bags. So, and he also became wealthy as part of the process. He was not poor, but he continued his practice of cooking and serving food to everyone.
Whatever comes, he would give away.
Yeah, then the saint came
and
back.
And then one day that saint again visited the village, and this guy saw the saint and he said, dude, like you said that I'm only supposed to get 2 bags. Like I get 2 bags every day. What were you talking about this 2 bags on a year, or like, for the rest of my life? So he said, I met God and I relayed my request to him. So he gave you the rest of your life's, ration to you the next day. But what you did was that you distributed away your ration to others. And so others got more than what they were supposed to get. So their destiny got added to yours. The more you gave, the more of other people's destiny became part of your destiny, because you became a medium of his into this world.
So their portion of rice started coming
to you.
Because you're going to be adding destiny back to them.
And so basically he, instead of feeding himself, he became a clear medium of God into this world. And this is how the world works. If you become a clean medium of Lord in this world, he will shower you with his blessings. And those blessings, as long as you don't block them, don't block the energies. Nothing wants to, the energies in this world don't want to be blocked. They want to flow. If you don't allow water to flow, it becomes stagnant, it becomes dirty, and then that entire ecosystem can die. But as long as water flows, it remains fresh and the ecosystem remains fresh as well. So whatever comes to you, make sure that you pass it on. Don't, if you are not blocking the energies, if you're not hoarding the resources in whatever manner, whether it is oxygen cylinders being hoarded away in anticipation of something happening to your family, or hoarding medicines because at some point of time you may need those medicines. If we don't hoard and we let the energies flow in a natural manner, then we all benefit. And as the Lord's blessings flow through us in this world, the biggest beneficiary is that medium, no? That medium gets cleansed and it gets strengthened as a part of the process.
Cool.
We'll close here.
We'll stop here.
Beautiful shloka to end the class on. Okay.
So we look at our phone at the end, because there is this app, this Bhagavad Gita app. I think the name is Bhagavad Gita 365. It is made by one of the sadhaks in the group, I think in Gurgaon. And it's an app that has all the starting invocation shlokas, the closing invocation shlokas. It has all the Gita shlokas with explanation in English, I think. So we use it. I mean, this is very convenient for us to do things through it. If you want, I'll send you the link of it later on the WhatsApp. Okay.
Please share, Abhinav.
Yes. Om Sarvesham Swastirbhavatu Sarvesham Shantirbhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukh Bhag Bhavet. Om Asatoma Sadkamaya